Welcome to the prosperous lily-white commercial zone known as the Rosemary District. At a glance, few would recognize it as the former site of a thriving, self-reliant Black community. After a century of gentrification, the history of its Black pioneers has disappeared from local memory. But an on-the-ground NAACP activist with family ties to the area is looking to change that.
This mural here was our first test mural. This was actually taken from a photo we found that was dated 1950 something. And he's standing in front of the Ace Theater leaning on this old Buick because the Ace Theater was the Black movie theater here in Sarasota. During segregation, we couldn't go to movie theaters with white people, we had to have our own. So this is where this was taken from, a photo in front of the Ace Theater. This whole area was known as Overtown, which was the first Black community here. Blacks first came here in 1880s, and this is the part of Sarasota they settled in before the community decided they need this part of town to expand their neighborhood from downtown. That's when they plotted Newtown. And slowly but surely they got all the Black people from over here up to Newtown, and we end up with this Rosemary District. This is the community marker, the county marker that tells the story of the community that was once here. This marker, other than the murals that we're going to put up, is the only thing that would even indicate that there was a Black community here at one time and the contributions they made to the entire area. The street we're on now was the heart and soul of the Black community. They had Black businesses here, and you know, it was just like Main Street, but it was for Black people. This is one also, even though the front of it's been redone, but this was actually all Black businesses along here also. You know, unfortunately, not only do most of the white community not know what was here, there's a generation or two of Black kids that don't know anything about Overtown because it's been gone just that long. So we're going to be bringing those people some education with what we're doing also. Well, once they decided or came to the realization, and when I say they, I mean the powers to be of the time, the white powers to be of the time. Once they decided and came to the conclusion that they needed that space, they slowly started doing things to get Black people to move. So the first thing they did was they plotted Newtown, because Newtown didn't exist. And they plotted it as far north in the city limits as possible. Newtown backs right up to the county line.
So, like right on the line.
Right on the line. Over a period of time, they did certain things to encourage Black people to move to this new area that they called Newtown. The transition took from 1916 when they plotted Newtown until probably 1970 before it got totally gentrified. So as I said, they moved to school, they moved to churches, they stopped doing services to the area, you know, the streets, the conditions of the area, the garbage pickup, things of that nature.
They restricted access to public services.
Exactly. And not only that, they start condemning properties, you know, just to help move you along and want to be from over there.
And then that's at the same time where like rent is going up?
Rents is going up, all that. They also made property pretty cheap in this new place called Newtown, where people had a chance to actually own their own property. See, a lot of that property in Overtown was rental property too now. They already owned a lot of that property, but Black people also was buying property at that time. The Mural project came about, I still call it Overtown, it's known as the Rosemary District now. I was over there for a meeting, and we was in the middle of Overtown, and I'm looking around, there was nothing left. You know, there's 3 or 4 buildings that are from that era, but they're completely used for other things now. Other people own them. And it was like where the houses was, there's condos, where other businesses were, the Black Business Central area there, the old Black movie theater, all that stuff, it's gone. So I'm thinking, I'm like, you know what, this is ridiculous. If someone came here, they would never know who or what this area originally was. It's completely gentrified. So I got this idea of the mural project because there was nothing else I could think of really. And I just went to property owners throughout the area and asked them and told them what I was thinking about. But then I met Anand, who actually owns the building that used to be Payne Chapel AME Church, first Black Methodist church, built by Leonard Reed over there. And he was really enthusiastic about it because he had been thinking about starting an arts district down there. This building that we're coming up on right here, this used to be Payne Chapel AME Church, African Methodist Episcopal Church. This corner was the heart and soul of what used to be Overtown. All that was Black businesses at one time. That mural there is of Buck O'Neil. Buck O'Neil was a famous Negro League baseball player. He also was the first Black coach in Major League Baseball, and he's being inducted in Major League Hall of Fame this summer. And he's from here. He lives in Overtown. This mural depicts some of the pioneers I was been talking about that we're going to put on some of these buildings. On this mural, you'll see Mr. Colson and his wife, who built Bethlehem Baptist Church. Mr. Colson drove the stake in the ground that when they was plotting the city of Sarasota. The lady in the white dress, that's Mrs. Booker, who I just told you about, started the first Black school. And that man with the top hat on, that's Leonard Reed. He built this church in 1927. You guys would like to go in there?
Sure, yeah.
It's not a church anymore.
That's what I was going to ask.
Or not? He must be on the 3rd floor. Or not? Anyway, as you could tell from the blocks and stuff, how he built this church was he went around to all the construction sites in the city during the time. And he just picked over leftover stuff. And if you could look at the blocks and you could see the difference in the blocks and stuff he used, especially between these 2 walls and that wall, and he put it together. If a hurricane comes, I'm coming here, buddy. This place ain't going nowhere. When I used to come here as a kid to church, I used to like to sit over here, and I could look out that window and see the bay and see Longboat Key. Of course, that don't happen no more, right? So, out of all the murals you're going to see that we've done so far, that's my favorite. I love that. So you want to ask me why?
How come it's your favorite?
Look at her, look at her. She covers every race there is, not only in her skin tone, but even in her hair. That is such a uniting, powerful piece of art. Yeah, so we believe, you know, at the Gilbert Mural Initiative to include all people. You know, we want this to be an arts district. That's the theme of RAD. So we have all type of murals, not just black people. So these are a few of those type murals. We're gonna go in here and see if Anand's in here. Remember I told you about Dream Large, that's what he runs? I'll see if he's in here because this is where his studio is. He told me he was gonna be in the church, but he lies a lot. Now, if you do happen to be on some type of hallucinant drug and you want a trip, just come down here and check this one out. She actually comes out of there, man. I tried it. Nope, he's not here. He left.
We'll get him another time.
We'll get him another time. Yeah.
Later that week, we would end up receiving a call from Anand Pallegar, Walter's partner with the Mural project. He wanted to clarify common misunderstandings about the Mural project. Most of the murals coating the walls of the Rosemary District aren't part of the Gilbert Mural Initiative, he explained. The Gilbert Mural Initiative is a small subsection of RAD started in 2020. Most of the murals were personally funded by Anand's tech company At Large, which includes RAD under its umbrella. The property Anand owns is used as a staging ground for a yearly festival called Pink Fest. The Multicultural Arts Festival was kickstarted in 2014 to attract talented artists and develop the area commercially.
PINC. What does that stand for?
It stands for People, Ideas, Nature, and Creativity.
Oh, very good.
While a number of building owners have agreed to have their property used for future historic murals, in truth, only one of the murals shown was part of the Gilbert Mural Initiative today. While the murals are repainted live each year as part of the annual event, Anand told us that the historic pieces would be a permanent anchor for RAD's development projects, and he seemed enthusiastic about his partnership with Walter. But all this begs the question, since RAD's purpose is to develop the Rosemary District as a cultural destination, is it possible that the mural project will contribute to pushing out the very people it tries to memorialize, much like the infamous Wynwood Art District of Miami, Florida? Also, how does Walter feel about Anand, who isn't originally from Sarasota, owning so much of the property from Overtown that Walter cherishes, including the former Payne Chapel AME Church?
So come on in, man.
Hey, how you doing, Walter?
I'm on the phone. I'll be right with you.
All right, should we take off our shoes?
Yeah, good. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. All right.
What's your feeling on it? Much respect to Anand and the mission, but he does own a lot of the property there that it used to be Overtown. And in a way, he's a tech guy. He's very wealthy. He's part of the owning class in a kind of way. And I kind of wanted to how do you feel about that he owns so much of the property?
I respect Anand because he's bringing a different attitude with that. You can never blame a guy for his pockets being bigger than yours unless he did something deceitful to get it. Anand was hard working. He got that money, he earned it, he came here, and he saw an opportunity. If it was not for Anand, a couple of those buildings down there that used to be black buildings would be gone. Namely that Payne Chapel Church building. That would have been gone if it wasn't for him. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have an ally that's actually in that community that's willing to help me navigate this and get it done. And I respect that of him too. But he's totally committed. He totally understands where I'm coming from. And he does what he can do. And I know there's certain things that, because he's part of that class of people down there, that he has to be mindful of. But he's doing a good job at navigating it.
Anand mentioned that the Pink Fest, and correct me if I'm wrong, he said that was basically he owns all the property, so he didn't have to ask nobody whether he wanted to do it.
Right.
And that it was basically personally funded from the pool of resources that he has.
Yes.
Is that also true for the Gilbert Mural Initiative?
No.
Where does the funding for that come
No, I wish I had the money Anand had to personally put up some murals. If I did, they would all be up by now. No, we have to raise that money. So We're in the process, SSAS, the charter school that's over there, which is right down the street from where Mrs. Booker had her first black school. They're going to allow us to put her on their building, and we're in the process of raising monies for that mural as we speak.
How's that funding going?
It's coming along slow.
A little bit slow.
Yeah.
But still on the horizon.
Yeah, but I
saw that building.
I hadn't got out there and done my marketing yet.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Part of his initial vision for the arts district was to make it like a very attractive, sort of thriving commercial community, and with art as the backbone of that. One of the criticisms I've heard of the mural project is that by painting this beautiful art that no one contests is wonderful, it raises his own property value and then maybe helps to gentrify the area.
It can't get no more gentrified. It just can't. It's solid white. I mean, it can't get no more gentrified. Overtown's gone, bruh. It's gone. It's done. And never shall ever be there again. Unless I catch the lottery and buy some property from Anand. But no, that's not an issue for me. Sometimes you have to realize where you're at to get somewhere else, you know, and this is where we are now. What happened back then, how they got that done, and what's down there now, that boat is left the dock. With the mural project, and my hopes and what I'm going to try to do once we start getting these is that we will be able to attract people from Newtown or black people from all around this area to come back into that area. Maybe some will open up businesses there. Who knows? My first and foremost with the murals is to make sure people know who was there and why they was there and who they were. That's number one. It's always good to know why something is where it's at, and then know what was there before that was there. I think that's always something for somebody to think about or try to understand. It gives you more of a perspective on not only where you are, but where your life around you is. That's basically it. I think I showed you all the buildings with the exception of a couple that murals are going on. I guess you guys get the whole theme and idea of what we want to do here. Yeah. And it's basically to honor the pioneers, let everybody else know that there was a place here where black people started out in the late 1880s. They contribute, they work, they help build this community into what it is, and that's the least we could do to honor their memory.
What does it mean to you for people to be able to remember the things that happened like this?
Well, history is important, especially in today's world where they don't want you teaching history in school, you know, and they want to distort it and make the story something that it's not. So it really means something to me to be able to contribute to making sure that legacy is established and goes on with truth.